Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I hope you are all really well. I am, we haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks. I'm doing a lot better than I was 2 weeks ago, and still got a little bit of a cough lingering, just a little one, but am significantly improved. It doesn't hurt when you get to go away for a few days. I went down south to a place called Newcastle, which is where my son lives, my son being in the Air Force, and we were able to go down and spend a couple of days with him. So that was really good. I love a good drive. I love a good drive. I mean, I enjoyed seeing my son, but I love a good long drive. It sadly was only halfway to the ski slopes. I'm not going skiing this year. Sad face. But it was still, it was cold where we went, Newcastle. A very similar sort of weather to what Linda is currently experiencing in Tassie. She said it's sunny and 14 degrees. Well, that was about what it was down in Newcastle late last week. Anyway, so today is the start of my third term in Australia. Our school year has 4 quarters. We call them terms, and so this is today is the start of term 3 for me. So that would officially mean we're past halfway. Woof! 2025. It's cracking a pace. Just to let you know where we're going for the next couple of weeks. Next week we're going to be doing today we're doing a live hangout. Of course, a Q&A is what I meant to say. A live hangout Q&A. So make sure you put your questions in there. I saw a question already come through from, where was it? I think it was Vava. Yeah, it was. And I'll get to that question in a moment, Vava. So throw your questions into the live chat. As you know, Linda gathers them up, puts them into a document for me so we can capture them all. If you do want to make sure your question definitely gets answered today, throw a super chat in. And I think that if you do that, have you noticed that today in the live chat, this is new. I didn't add this. This is a YouTube. YouTube is always changing stuff. So notice that there are these little crowns with little numbers next to them. And that is like a top fan ranking. So there's not every person that makes a comment gets a ranking, but dependent on how many comments you make, questions you ask, and super chats that you give, is dependent on who ranks the highest. It only ranks the top 3. So currently, Linda is number 1 because she's obviously made the most comments. I would say, is that how it works? So Linda's currently ranked. Oh no, well Linda's number 1, but I can tell you that Vava and Nibi, they're all sitting on the same level of 75 XP points. I guess I don't know what that means. Anyway, so if you want to rank. Again, it's not something I added, but it's a bit of fun. We do try to keep it quite light here as a part of the live hangout. So there's also a question, a poll that we're running. I'll come back to that in a second. So Q&A today. Next week we're going to be doing a mini topic. We're going to talk about some songwriting basics for singers. And I have written songs. I will tell you right now, it's not a muscle I work regularly, in so much as I haven't written for quite some time. I have written one of my songs on my album I co-wrote, and it was in the top 30. I think it went to 12 here in Australia. So I know a little bit about it. We're going to talk about that and some of the benefits that we can experience this song by choosing to engage with the songwriting process with our singing. We're going to talk about that next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, I want to do another live reaction video. I'm going to jump over into the Facebook group to ask once again for people who would like to. In fact, I think there was another one who had already put their hand up. Anyway, look into the Facebook community group, the Voice Essentials community, for more info about that. We'll be doing that my hope is to do that in 2 weeks. After that, so we've only got today and another 2 sessions before I then go to Canada for the International Congress of Voice Teachers. For those of you who are regularly a part of our live hangout, you will know I will be presenting a 45-minute presentation at the International Congress in Toronto, Canada, and that will be happening over that period for the 28th of July, I think, through to about the 3rd of August. And so I can't do live hangouts when I'm overseas. Incidentally, and I did let people know, we will be, there's at least 2 Canadians who are going to be coming and joining me for a meal. I think probably I think it's going to be the Friday night, which I think is August the 1st, in Toronto. We're going to get together and have a meal, and they're part of our community. Amelia and Kathy are going to join me, and that's an open invitation. And so if you are in Canada and you think you'd like to join us for a get-together and a meal, and for us to meet in person, I think that would be awesome. In fact, can I tell you, the highlight of the trip for me is going to be that dinner, to be able to meet Kathy and Amelia in person. I think will just be so cool, and perhaps we'll be able to meet you as well. Yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. Linda did remind me to say Happy Canada Day to all of our Canadians. Apparently July 1st was Canada Day. And how do we say, Happy Independence Day for Americans, July 4th? Is that how you say it? I don't know. I saw that Rebecca is in the comments. So maybe Rebecca, you can tell. Is that how we say it? I don't know. Anyway, so they're 2. And look, my heart goes out to the people around Austin, Texas. At the moment, they're dealing with significant floods. One of my students this morning is in Austin, Texas, and we had a brief conversation around the tragedy that is taking place over there currently with the loss of life, and so thinking of people over there. Oh, you say so. Linda is saying Happy 4th July. Is that how you say it? Happy July 4. I don't know. Okay, let's get into the poll. 12 of you have already voted. I'm always fascinated by these results. I always go into it suspecting that we're going to have a real one that's just going to blow the others away, and it's not always the case. And today's, it's interesting. Which singing habit are you guilty of? I thought this was a fun one. Forgetting to warm up, clenching your jaw mid-phrase, rushing through tricky runs, or over practicing the easy bits. Linda did say at the beginning of hanging out, her guilty, habit was not on the list. Linda, you have to pick one on the list. There are plenty of guilty habits that we can have as singers, but you do, and look, you might look at all 4 of those and go, I'm guilty of all 4. You have to pick one, everyone. Have to pick one. We'll come back to the results a little bit later. And, But before we let's jump over. I want to come over to let's come over to Vava's question, because Vava has asked. This is not really. We'll kick off today with our live Q&A with this question. But Dr. Dan, how did you get started as a vocal coach? I got started, Vava. So this is my 30th year of officially teaching singing. I got started back in 1995, and I wasn't teaching like I teach now. I think I had one or two students that I was kind of, and when I say they were students, they were friends who had just asked me for some tips, really, in many respects. And that's often how people start out in the singing teaching world, you know. And then you quickly learn, wow, there's a lot to this and there's a lot that I don't know. And so you start exploring and investigating, and one thing led to another. I was already at the Queensland Conservatorium of Music doing voice. And so hence, you know, I had people asking, now, I think from within my worship team, asking me, of which I was, no, I don't think I was a worship minister at that point. Anyway, I think I was just asked, and I started doing what were relatively informal lessons, but enough for me to say that's kind of where I started. And then one thing led to another. I found myself doing a Bachelor of Jazz Voice with a component of, you had to do a component of voice teaching, a pedagogy unit. And I found that really fascinating. I think that was in 97, if I'm remembering correctly, 97, 98. And then from there, I found I really enjoyed, I knew I'd enjoyed teaching and handing over the very limited knowledge that I had at the time, but then doing the course is run by a lady by the name of Adele Nisbet, to whom I owe a great deal in my teaching, voice teaching career, and she also supervised my masters, and and so I did my pedagogy with her, and she was a classical singing teacher, a highly regarded classical singing teacher of the late 90s, very early 2000s. She's retired now. So that's where I started, and it just sort of progressed from there. And it was in 2001 that we, I won't bore you with the sordid details, but one thing led to another, and I found myself here in this house. Yes, we've been here for 24 years. In 2001, I started teaching in this very room, and have been teaching in this dedicated way since that point. I had been teaching previous, but for other schools, but I went independent in 2001. So that's how it all begins, and you spend the first, probably at least the first 15 years in many respects just trying to figure it out, because there is so much to learn when it comes to singing and teaching voice, and when I say you spend 15 years figuring it out, that doesn't mean you've learnt it all by the time the 15th year rolls around. I am still learning, but you've acquired a body of knowledge that is workable and for the most part applicable, and so that's how it all began, and it continues to this day, Vava. So thank you for the question. Often the journey of becoming a singing teacher is quite a convoluted one. It's not. There are courses, or here in Australia, there's only one, dedicated to my knowledge, there's still only one dedicated pedagogy course here in Queensland. But it's more often than not it's not a direct pathway, and to this day, singing teaching is still a very unregulated industry. Anyone, including you, Vava, can hang a shingle and call themselves a singing teacher, and I look back to those first couple of friends who I was, basically handing over the knowledge that I have at the time. And whilst I'm sure there were things that were helpful in those sessions that we did, I wonder how helpful it was, because I really had no clue. And so it does, as I say, it does take time to develop the skills to teach, because I think when most singing teachers start, and you'll see this a lot online, a lot of teachers are teaching from a place of experience, and it has its place, and I refer to it very loosely as experiential teaching. This is what I do as a singer, in a sense, try to copy me. And that can be beneficial to a point. But you soon realize, when you've done as much teaching as I have, is that what I experience as a singer is limited not only to my physiology, the fact that I'm male, not female, the fact that I'm a tenor, I'm not a baritone or an alto or a soprano. I'm limited in my own physiology, but I'm also limited in my vocal experience as far as what I've sung over the years, despite the fact that that's actually been rather vast. I've sung in music theatre, I've sung jazz, I've presented rock pop, I've done your classic Australiana. I've done quite a number of genres over the years professionally. But I like, we just listed that on one hand. When you compare that to the amount of hybrid genres that are out there now, you soon realize that you can't, as one individual, cover all of those. So that then leads you to recognize that singing teaching has to be more than just the singing teacher's experience, but now we need to draw on an acquired knowledge base that is, in one sense, intellectual. In my case, I read a lot, I've studied a lot, and also I've gone to a lot of conferences. Over this weekend just gone, there was the Australian National Association for Teachers of Singing, ANAT's national conference, which I couldn't go to because I'm going to the Canada conference, and the facts are I can't afford to go to both, so Canada it is. And so by going to a lot of these conferences, you get to observe other teachers doing what they do, and you absorb that and you apply that to your own teaching, and you soon learn to be able to apply the knowledge, skills, and acquired knowledge to other people's experience, not based purely on your own, but more out of a pedagogy foundation. So, yeah, there you go. That was probably a very long-winded answer, Vava, but I hope it was helpful. I'm going to come down to, we've got a question here from, let me come down to, I've got to turn yours off, and then I'm going to come up to, I saw that Nebi had a question, so I want to come over to that. So Nebi's question is there any easy transposing program or way to turn songs into other keys that is easy? Dyslexic, which makes it hard for me. And Nebi, I understand dyslexic glitches. My daughter is dyslexic, so that's all good. Is there an easy transposing program? There are so many. Now there's one, I'm going to jump in here. There is one on YouTube that you can use on YouTube, and it's just called I'm going to jump in here. I hope this is not affecting our connection. I think it's just called Transpose. It's a Chrome based are they called extensions? And you put it into Chrome as an extension, and you simply just you can transpose. You can even change the time using this extension. It sits in your browser so that when you are on YouTube specifically, you can transpose the key of the say you're singing along with a karaoke track. You can use that to transpose very easily. The thing to always remember when transposing, there are some others which I'll talk to in a second, but the thing to always remember with transposing is what a transposition program is doing is it's an algorithm that is transforming the audio signal in very clever ways, and they've been around for years now, but still I find even with the really good algorithms that you can get, for example, there's an industry standard program I use called Isotope RX. You can do transposition in there with that program, but there's a whole heap of them. But even when you have the best software packages that do it, I still find that you don't want to go plus or minus more than 4. And in fact, I find that it's better to stick within plus minus 3. So that is, you're either dropping it a tone and a half or lifting it a tone and a half. Because if you go beyond that, it tends to introduce what are referred to as artifacts, and it's glitchy in the audio. It kind of really starts to degrade the quality of the track. Now, for practice purposes, that's fine. But if you were to then want to use that for performance, that becomes difficult. And it is important for us to then state, really, if you are going to be performing, then you should own the backing track. And so using a karaoke track on YouTube, unless you have gone and purchased it from the company that has uploaded it, because you can go and purchase a performance license for those tracks. And incidentally, when you do that, you can obtain that track in the exact key that you want. And so in that instance, they're not transposing the key, they're actually giving it to you in the key that you want, if that makes sense, typically. And so, yeah, so there are plenty of software packages out there that will do it. And you just have to go searching. Can I recommend not using free ones? Actually, let me back up. You could try using Audacity, which is a freeware DAW. It's like a recording program, and I think you can use Audacity, and it's actually an official program. The reason I tend to encourage students not to download freeware for these simple tasks is because I'm always nervous about malware. You know, what the software could be used as a bit of a Trojan horse for malware. So I'm always encouraging students to go searching for proper certified pieces of software that aren't going to cause you big issues with your computer. So just be mindful of that if you could. We're up to 17 votes, everyone. I'll tell you, the one that has got the least amount of votes, I'm not surprised by. So there you go. That's what I'll say at this point. We'll come back to it in a moment. We will. Let's come to Rebecca's question. Where? Rebecca. Here we go. Rebecca's got a question for us. Dr. Dan, what would you say is some of the most challenging vocal exercises to overcome? My mind immediately goes to Messa de Voce. You'll find a Messa de Voce activity on Voice Essentials 2. It's literally pretty much the midpoint of my exercise volumes, and it's right smack bang in the middle of volume 2, Voice Essentials 2. It is deceptively difficult in the sense that it is only one note, but you have to crescendo and decrescendo on that single note, all while you maintain even, consistent pitch. And it's most people who do it, me included, find it easier to crescendo to a point than to evenly decrescendo, and so that's the first one that immediately comes to mind, and then we can get into more vocal ease type activities, which sort of go down the roads of riffs and runs. I saw a friend and colleague by the name of Adam Lopez. He's a local singer and teacher here in Brisbane. Used to, I don't know whether he still has the Guinness World Record of the highest sung note by a human being, but he used to have it, and he often posts onto his Facebook page, I think onto his Instagram, him doing the craziest runs, and they're all Italian vocalese, and they are so quick and so just off the charts, amazing. And so that, learning to do that and to do it with the skill that Adam displays is not easy. And so they're some of the most challenging vocal exercises. I don't know that we ever overcome them, Rebecca, to be honest, because it's ever changing. So, for example, right now I'm in the process of re-establishing my vocal health after what I think was COVID, and we know that COVID just takes such a long time to recover from. Certainly it does for me. This is the second time that I think I've had it, and so re-establishing my capacity for vocal agility and breath management, it's a moving target, and so we're always in that flux, aren't we? I'm interested at this current. Oh, okay. So we've got So they're currently the top fans. I'm looking at the top fans and it's gone down to 6. So it's not just the top 3. There are 6. Karen from Singwise. Hi, Karen, is on 25 XP. Darkus is on 25, and Erwin is on 25, 4, 5, and 6. And so that's interesting. Can I tell you, I honestly have no idea how this top fans system is working. So there you go. I am going to come. Oh, Dean's in the house. Yes, Dean, you are late. It was noted. No, it's good to have you here, Dean. Dean's one of our one of the members of the site. So thank you, Dean, for that monthly support. Let's come over to Erwin. Erwin's got a question, apparently. I think this is it here. Erwin's asking, how can I sing the oo vowel in the high notes without yelling? I always sing that vowel with too much power. I can't sing it soft and quiet. Erwin, without you being in front of me, it can be difficult to answer this question, but I will give you some tips around oo. Oo and o, those shapes, I'm always encouraging a more prominent lip rounding and forward placement. So I find that when we go into that sort of protrude, it's not even a word, protruded. If you should feel like you're kissing a fish, or you're like a duck, Daffy Duck. So your lips come forward, oo and o, and when we're more pronounced with that, it's going to facilitate that vowel with a greater ease. It's not the silver bullet, but I find that more often than not, when people are singing oos and ohs, there's not enough lip construction around helping that vowel. So I would look to that. You say I always sing that vowel with too much power. I think you'll find that with that lip coming forward, I would like to think it will facilitate and help you backing off any drive behind that vowel, so that you can move through that vowel into whatever other shapes you are needing to do with a little bit more consistency and balance. And so, yeah, see how you go with that. I hope that's helpful. You say you can't sing it soft and quiet. Sometimes, in fact, I was doing some quiet work with my student this morning, and we were using NG to really facilitate balance, and it can be fun and productive to back the air pressure right off, so that you're singing the melody of whatever you're singing the song, remove the lyric, and just do it on an NG, and give yourself the challenge of see how quiet you can actually sing it without the core tone being lost. And so if I was to sing, I don't know, row, row, row your boat. We'll go, that was, I don't know, I can't think of anything else. So you can see I'm trying to get it really, I hope you can hear that. I'm trying to get it really quiet without losing it and it crumbling into nothing. And so you use that to find a point of balance and placement, and then you can then go into row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, merrily, and you can go into finding that exact position. Often, not always, but often when you've got good placement, good balance of voice application and tone and air, then you can start to move it around. I often liken it to learning to, when a child learns to ride a bike, their main focus is just staying upright, right? But once you find that point of balance, that's not where you just want to leave it. And in fact, it can get to a point where you watch people, these guys and gals who ride motorbikes for the GP, and they're taking U-turns at 130 kilometers an hour, and they're literally like that, like they're bent right over, and they still have perfect balance, but they're not upright. They're leant over with balance. And I often think about that when it comes to applying volume and a whole range of other things with voice. You've got to get your center of balance first, and then you can start to move that center of balance, whether it be with applied volume or textures or breath or what have you. But find that point of balance first, and one of the ways we find that point of balance can be to use the NG. Yeah. Hopefully that's answered your question, or given you some ideas anyway. Esteban, where are you, Esteban? Esteban is asking, hi, can my voice singing get better if you don't sing good? Yeah, Esteban, it can. It absolutely can. To what degree your voice can develop is a mystery. And I find that most people don't start the learn to sing journey, and so never find out, well, how far can we go with it? And so I have, as I was saying earlier, I've been teaching for 30 years. And in that period of time, I have taught thousands of singers. I am yet to have a person step into this studio, and I've had some people with what you and I would qualify as amazing voices. I am yet to have anyone step in here and not be advantaged by the technical journey that we've taken to develop their voice. Every single person. So that's from absolute beginners who really struggle to string two notes together to your working professional. And so what we can take away from that is the fact that everyone can benefit from actively engaging in the development of their voice, even those who feel that they don't sing good. And so my encouragement to you, Esteban, is to step onto the journey and start exploring your voice. Now, it may well be that you're not going to find that you are a, Robbie Williams or a, I don't know, who's another great male vocal? I don't know. But you will discover what you're capable of. And it almost certainly is so far and above what you do currently. And so I encourage you to take that journey. How are we going for time? Wowzers. We're nearly out of time. Vava had some questions all the way back. Now, I'm going to come back to you, Vava, and answer one of your other questions that you had back here. And then we're going to close. How are we going for we're up to 20 votes. I like to get to 21. It's not a number of legend. It's a legend. So make sure you jump in and answer the questions if you can. How are we going with the top fans? We're down to, okay. Wowzers. I wonder whether you're only allowed to get to 75 XP. I don't know, because Linda has continued to comment, but I'm having a look here. I'm going to read you out what I'm reading here. What's a leaderboard? A place for fans to stand out in the community. The top 3 get special badges in live chat. It resets every stream, so you can always try again. There you go. How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points or XP. Here's how you get them. You send live chat messages. Well, you've all been doing that. Or you send super chats and super stickers. There you go. But it doesn't explain to us why some of you have got up to 75. Like Nebi just got to 75 points, but is still only 4th. I don't know. Maybe to get more points. Maybe that you can only get to 75 points by making comments. Maybe to get above that, you've got to do super chats. Like I said, I didn't turn that on. YouTube did. Okay, back to what we were going to hear. Okay, so I'm going to come to Vava's next question. And Vava is asking, Dr. Dan, I have a question. Yeah, we know. Apparently to do a metal type of voice, you need to do false chord distortion. What is that? I have no idea how that even works. That is only true partially. So there is something called false fold distortion. Depending on who you talk to, that can be one of the more labor-intensive distortions, because it's typically coming about by virtue of quite a heavily supraglottic constriction. So it's an activation of the false folds, which sit above and to the side of the true folds, and so you're bearing down over and above the true folds and so that requires some muscle tension. And so to do that over an extended period of time, that can be quite challenging for the voice and for its health. Whereas there are, and this is one of the reasons I think that Melissa Cross is an advocate for, she prefers the term, instead of distorted vocal, she prefers to call it disturbed vocal, because there is a true fold distortion that we get that is a disruption, a disturbance in the vocal fold oscillation caused by at the level of the true folds, not false. That then comes into play with the acoustics, that the sound is being filtered through the vocal tract. I encourage you, there are always two authorities that I direct people to on this matter, Miss Melissa Cross, Zen of Scream, and Catherine Sutherland, and you will get a good, between those two, so Catherine Sutherland's work is called Complete CVT, Complete Vocal Technique, or anyway, you will find that both of those schools of thought and approach will give you a really good overview and a sense and understanding of the area of distorted vocal, disturbed vocal, depending, again, which school of thought you approach it with. But just be mindful that false chord or false fold distortion is only one way that you can approach it. And so go and do some homework. And in fact, I've had Melissa on the show twice, and I was thinking maybe we need to have her on again. We might look at that for the new year. And I'm pretty sure she talks about false fold distortion in, I think, the second one that we did. Go and have a look for that in the live hangout that we did a couple of years ago, I think now. Hopefully that will be helpful. Yeah. So there you go. I'm going to close. We didn't quite get to the 21 votes. We got to 20 though. That's pretty good. So I'm ending the poll. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Ending the poll. Let's have a look at the results. Okay, which singing habit are you guilty of? I must admit, I thought forgetting to warm up would be a runaway result. I really did. I thought it would be up in the 60s. But it turns out that rushing through tricky runs is a challenge for some of you. The clenching your jaw, I expected that would be the least, and it was. I think at 20 votes, 5%. What is that? That's one of you found that as a challenge. Over practicing the easy bits. There's a really good pedagogical rule of thumb, and that is always, if you want to know what you should be practicing when it comes to your singing, go, and I say this to students sometimes, this week, only practice the exercises that you always skip. Because I guarantee you, they're the exercises that you need to work on. We do tend to gravitate to, we take the easy road, don't we? And the road less traveled is generally the activities that you avoid, that you don't do. And so over practicing the easy bits, I think, is probably more prevalent for us than we realize. But of course, forgetting to warm up, it's all too easy, isn't it, to get caught up in whatever we're doing and to just, not get the warm up done. That was a cool hangout. Well, I enjoyed myself. I hope you did as well. And we will do this again next week. As I said, we're going to be looking at songwriting and what we can garner and what that can facilitate for us in our singing. We'll look at that next week. And again, I'll jump over into Facebook perhaps later this afternoon, and I'm going to let people know. I've got to choose someone for the live reaction, which we'll do in a couple of weeks. So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the last little while, and I hope you are all healthy and well, and I hope you all have a great week. So I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Tell the algorithm. Tell them. I'll see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.